Hello there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. We spend a lot of time on this channel warning our viewers about the various dangers one faces when traveling in the Star Wars galaxy. We talk quite a lot about the various degenerate Xenos you should avoid and be prejudiced against. But oftentimes we're just talking about the local fauna. But the Star Wars galaxy is massive and strange, and on some worlds and some dark corners of the galaxy, it's not just the fauna that preys on the weak, it's actually the flora. Today we'll be venturing to the High Republic period, where we'll be taking a look at one of the most ancient and evil plant species ever to live in the Star Wars galaxy. We'll also talk about why veganism is the only ideology that can essentially stop it, or something like that. Now, I know a lot of people are hesitant to get into the High Republic period of Star Wars lore because it is relatively new, and it's also a Disney Star Wars project and has been accused of having some icky identity politics in it. But as usual, I recommend you guys check it out on your own and don't let other people's opinions sway your views on whether you get to enjoy Star Wars content or not. And honestly, people who make a living commenting about pop culture online are not to be taken seriously. Trust me. Or maybe you're just not into comics or novels, which most of the High Republic era content has been, which is honestly where I come in, because my job is to literally look at Star Wars content and find the most interesting aspects and then bring it back to you, the viewers. So please do subscribe to my channel, please. So now let's talk about the terrible Drengir and how the Jedi of the High Republic ran into this terrifying ancient beast. So the High Republic era is a period of time roughly 200 years before the Clone Wars started, or 800 years after the Ruusan Reformation happened. It's considered a golden age, a period of time where the majority of the citizens in the Republic actually believe in the central government and the various institutions that support it. This is thanks to some very visible infrastructure programs in the Outer Rim developed by Republic Chancellor Lina Soh. If you guys have watched any of my videos about the economy and political development of the Star Wars galaxy, you'll know that the Outer Rim is painfully neglected and lacks very basic fundamental services, including the most important service of them all, and that is safety and security. Without safety and stability in a place, you'll never get outside investment. People won't want to move their money or manpower to these regions. This is why policing is important. This is where Chancellor Lina Soh's grand plan comes into play. She's developed a Republic and Jedi joint-run space station known as the Starlight Beacon, far out in the Outer Rim. The Starlight Beacon has a navigational beacon on it, which can help ships traverse the uncharted territories of the Outer Rim, and it's also a place from which the Jedi and Republic Task Force can be deployed from to bring safety and security to the people out there. But unfortunately, thousands of years of neglect in the Outer Rim has made it an oasis for the many defeated enemies of the Republic and other degenerate factions that just wouldn't be able to function in the core. It's a place where these neglected individuals can regroup and plan and wait to strike at the core when the time is right. And so the Jedi have a huge task before them. By going into the Outer Rim, they're going to be facing ancient evils, challenges, and stranger dangers in every nook and cranny, sort of like a half-abandoned strip mall here in America. On a routine call to a distress signal, Trandoshan Jedi Master Skier and his Padawan, or former Padawan Jedi Knight Keeve Trennis, and the twin Jedi Serret and Tarek discover a relatively disturbing crime scene. They find what seems to be a derelict Hutt cartel ship that has been gutted by Nihil Marauders, a powerful group of anarchists who had access to a strange hyperspace technology known as the Path Engine that allowed them to be extremely effective at raiding shipping lanes. The Jedi noticed that the Hutt cartel ship was carrying a special type of regulated grain known as Varaxia renasicus, one of the primary ingredients for a new miraculous medicinal fluid known as Bacta. The Jedi trace this grain back to a nearby planet known as SEDRI Minor, known for producing the crop. Master Skier and Serret leave the other Jedi behind and journey to the agricultural planet to see what's going on here. Seconds after landing, Jedi Serret sees a small Rodian child in a field and follows him. Soon after, Serret just completely disappears. Serret's twin Tarek immediately begins freaking out back on the derelict ship, where he was recuperating from wounds suffered from the initial boarding. Something terrible has gripped Serret. With things escalating, Keeve Trennis and Jedi Marshal Avar Kriss, leader of the Starlight Beacon, journey to SEDRI Minor to find out what's going on. Something terrible has gripped Seret. With things escalating, Keeve Trennis and Jedi Master Avar Kriss, leader of the Starlight Beacon, journey to SEDRI Minor to find out what exactly is going on. While Master Skier and Avar Kriss are discussing things on board their ship, Keeve Trennis befriends one of the local boys and follows him to a giant sinkhole in the field. They jump down into it and find a whole tunnel system where they find Tarek bundled up with some other victims in the roots of some type of plant. It turns out what the young Jedi has stumbled into was the lair of a Drengir. This was a sentient plant species that had an amorphous vegetation body that could quickly expand and contract into various species. These monsters cared only about one thing, and that was consuming meat, aka fauna, sentient or non-sentient. To make matters even worse, these monsters were actually aligned with the dark side and had very powerful telepathic abilities, and would often use these abilities to trick individuals into its lair. When Seret first lands on SEDRI Minor, the Jedi had seen a small Rodian boy and followed them into a trap. It's possible that the Rodian boy was either under the control of the Drengir or a vision created by the Drengir to trick Seret. Either way, the Drengir were able to basically infect individuals once they got close with spores. These spores essentially began taking over the body, oftentimes filling up the veins and organs of a person with vegetable matter. Or in Master Skier's case, the spores even are able to replace his lost limb with a limb made out of roots. Once the spores and roots take hold of the individual encompassed in the vegetation, they were basically a slave for the Drengir. To make matters worse, these Drengir could actually communicate with, descendants or other Drengir that have split off from them. After recovering the derelict Hutt ship we talked about before, the Jedi brought back the cadaver of the Hutt they found on board and unknowingly introduced a full-size Drengir to the Starlight Beacon station. Drengir, despite being sentient and quite powerful, were easily tricked by Force users. Ultimately, the Jedi Knight Keeve Trennis was able to use the Force to convince the plant's hive mind that all the meat it was infecting was poisoned and would sicken them. This would cause the Drengir to withdraw from all of its victims. But such victories were short-lived. If the original progenitor of the Drengir was not found and stopped, they would just continue breeding and growing. And so soon after the events on SEDRI Minor, the Drengir began infecting several different worlds in the Outer Rim, overwhelming the Jedi and their new Hutt cartel allies. Yes, the Hutts and the Jedi are working together, and this is just how desperate the situation had become. Now, back in the day, long before the High Republic era, and maybe even before the Old Republic era, the Amaxian warriors ran into the Drengir and basically fought an all-out war against them, trying to stop them from spreading all across the galaxy. Eventually, a group of Sith were able to trap the Drengir on one of the Amaxian warriors' space stations, and that's where they remained for a long time before Jedi found them. Now, this station would eventually be found again by Snoke and used as a location for him and Kylo Ren to meet and discuss their potential collaboration in the future. So it seems like the Drengir will always maintain a relationship and attract dark side Force users throughout history. They have almost developed a symbiotic relationship with the Sith, and it'll be interesting to see if this ancient threat resurfaces once again sometime in the future. Now, if you think about it, almost 99% of animals are edible in one way or another. I mean, you have to probably prepare some things a certain way, de-infect them, but the majority of plants are actually poisonous to human beings. So we need to really reassess our relationship not only with animals, but also with plants. Probably gotta burn stuff with fire. No, don't do that actually. That would make me liable. Don't burn things with fire. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. And as usual, thanks for joining us today. And if you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.